What's up? So if you have a new iPhone at home, you probably want to set it up really quickly like me, and maybe you want to have a nice setup for productivity as well. So let me show you what I did to set up my iPhone 14 Pro for my everyday workflow. And first let's start with the lock screen. I decided to set up a minimalistic lock screen because I don't want to have any unnecessary things on my lock screen that can easily grab my attention. So that's why I just have a photo of my dog right here, the time and date so I can check that whenever I need it, and I have two shortcut options, one for the flashlight and another one for the camera. The flashlight is, in my opinion, always super useful in a variety of situations whenever you need it, and it's not a shortcut that wants to grab your attention all the time. And second, the camera app shortcut is for me a great solution to create some stories or to take some nice photos really quickly. Sometimes I have an idea for a quick story, and in this case I can simply open up the camera app without all kind of unnecessary steps. In the end, for me personally, this is a really nice and clean lock screen that offers all kind of things that you need with just a single tap. So especially if you want to be productive and if you don't want to spend a lot of time using your phone, this is just great. If we now switch over to my home screen, you will notice that it's super minimalistic, and the reason is that I always want to set my focus on productivity here as well. So yeah, in the end I don't want to see all the apps or all kind of notifications, because in these cases it is way more likely that I will open up some apps to spend some time doing nothing special. And that's why I decided to put all the important apps for my daily workflow into one single folder. I also placed it in the main area for the apps down here, because here I always have the quick access option whenever I need to use an app. Another thing that I did was to combine it with a nice image of my first dog to hide all kind of other things like the dynamic island. And to do that you can simply create a color gradient layer in Photoshop from black to this grayish color. This will hide most of the things on your home screen. And next you simply add your image that you want to have on your home screen. Now the easiest way to combine both layers is simply the eraser tool. In this case just select a soft brush to blend the image in, and here we go, your home screen image is ready to use. In the end I definitely need to say that I actually enjoy this design, and for me it's super helpful to stay focused, and it's not too hard to create that, so definitely give it a try. But yeah, now let's move on and let's talk about my main folder right here. In my main folder I have placed my top apps that I use all the time. And the first one that I need to mention is my Tesla app that I use for my Model 3. And yeah, for me that's the best and easiest option to get anything done if you have a Tesla at home. I also have the key fob here as well as a backup, but in most cases the app offers everything that you need. The second app that you can see is Instagram, and the reason why a social media app is in my main folder is that I post daily on Instagram. For example, feed posts, reels and stories, so it's always important for me to stay up to date here. And exactly that's why I need a quick access here as well, because next to YouTube it is my main platform that I set my focus on. In this case I need to check that multiple times a day, so that's why I've placed it in my main folder as well. The next app that I need to mention is my To-Do app, and yes, there are a couple of them out there, but I really like this one here from Microsoft. It's super easy to use and for me one of the best apps to check my to-dos. I also have the app on my Mac Studio here, so whenever I add a new note I also have it on my phone and my computer too. So yeah, if you don't have such an app for your to-dos, I can highly recommend to get one. Next of course I have the Mail app and WhatsApp here as well, because I always get a ton of mails and messages every single day, so that's why I've placed them in my main folder as well. The next two apps that we need to talk about are the Photos and Camera app for my images and stories. I always use both apps to create and check the content on my phone before I post them on Instagram and YouTube, because a lot of people use their phones to consume this kind of content. So yeah, a quick tip for all kind of content producers out there: double check your content on your phone as well. In this case you can easily avoid any bad surprises like bad audio quality on phone speakers, the wrong crop or all kind of things like that. And last but not least I need to mention the Safari and Notes app. I use them both every single day and especially on the go, and that's why I've placed them on my first page in my main folder as well. What I definitely need to mention is that I always check the apps here to see which one I use the most, so I can easily switch things up as soon as I notice that I don't use some apps that often anymore. If we now switch over to the second page of my main folder, you can see the apps that are still really important but I don't need to use them that often. And here we have the telephone app, messages, maps, banking, calendar and of course the clock app. I just put them into this folder to have a quick access whenever I need them, but in most cases I just use the first page and that's it. So yeah, these are all my top apps that I use all the time and they are all in one folder. The good aspect is that I simply don't have to search for one of them. I can easily grab my phone to get started. And of course in this case it is way more likely that I don't get distracted by other apps. For me it's like an all-in-one folder for my everyday workflow, and that makes it for me so much easier to get things done. And now let's switch to the second page. This page is all about my socials and settings apps. Whenever I need to check or post something on my social media accounts I switch to this page here. Here I have the Twitter and LinkedIn apps and of course both YouTube apps. And yes, on this page these two apps are my most used ones because next to Instagram, YouTube is my main platform. I don't want to have them in my main folder because I mostly check my YouTube analytics and videos on my Mac Studio, so it wasn't necessary to have them in my main folder as well. But yeah, just to have this option on the go is great, especially if you notice that there's a mistake in one of your videos, for example. If you now move on, you can also see the Facebook app here, but currently I absolutely don't use it anymore, so it is possible that I will delete it soon. In my case, there's just one single group on Facebook that I always check out, but in this case I can easily do that on my Mac Studio too, and that's why having the Facebook app on my phone isn't actually worth it anymore. But yeah, the last apps for this page are my social contacts, the App Store to keep my apps up to date, and last but not least the Settings app. I've also combined all these apps with two widgets, so one widget for the weather and the second one that I use to check the battery status of my devices, like the iPhone, AirPods and the MagSafe charger. So yeah, again, I always try to combine things to get an overall useful setup for each page. If you now switch over to the third page, you can see that the third page is the page for content production. So whenever I need to record videos, for example, I switch over to this page. And of course it offers everything that I need for all kind of things, like apps to use the slider, the drone, cameras or gimbals. I also have my LED lights app here as well to get my setup done as fast as possible. And the reason why I created this page is that I always had the problem that I had to search for a variety of apps for all kind of things on my phone. And that's why I decided to create one dedicated page for these apps. In the end it just saves a lot of time, and that's why I can highly recommend to have such a page on your phone. And last but not least we need to talk about page number 4. This page is the one that I don't really use that often. These are just folders for a variety of things like shopping, so Amazon, Apple and so on, a music folder whenever I want to listen to music or podcasts on the go, an Apple folder for a variety of Apple apps like the one from my Apple Watch, numbers or pages, and extra folders that contains apps like the calculator, my data manager and all kind of other apps like that. The next folder that I need to mention is my stuff folder. Here I simply have a variety of apps that I need, but I don't really use them that often. And the last folder is my Tesla folder. Here I have collected a couple of apps for chargers that aren't superchargers. Just in case if there aren't any superchargers nearby, I can use these apps to find one that I can use. But yeah, so far I need to say that I never had to use them, but just in case it's always great to have a backup plan. But yeah, this is my iPhone 14 Pro setup for productivity. Question of the day, what kind of apps do you have on your phone? Write them down in the comments. So, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're new, don't forget to smash that subscribe button to stay updated for upcoming videos, and I'll see you in the next video.